Okay, let me start off this video by asking you a question to consider. When you're out in a solo run, do you wave to all the fellow runners you encounter, or do you blatantly ignore them with a passion? There's no in between. You either ignore them or you acknowledge them. Okay? Now, I've always been kind of the type that leans more towards, not really leans more, falls more towards the ignoring people. One, because I'm usually really focused, and two, because it doesn't usually end well. And I'll give you some examples, okay? Plus, sometimes you look over and then the person doesn't acknowledge you and you feel kind of like a loser. And then you go, wait, what do you mean? Why are you ignoring me? I was just being nice. And now you had to take it to another level of douchebaggery. And then it just makes you super jaded. And the next time you see someone, you ignore them. And then maybe you do the same thing to them that someone else did to you, and you perpetuate the whole cycle. And then before you know it, no one says hi to anyone. Now, regardless of what type of runner you are and whether or not I choose to interact with you, okay, the one group that I will never approach, not only that, I will actively avoid any engagement whatsoever during a run, are the older runners, the older male runners who, wear the racing flats and have the racing running singlets on during a training run, and are always super competitive. And every time they see me, they'll get all excited and pick up the pace and increase their cadence to an unsustainable level just to try to inch up and get close to me while I'm doing my recovery jog and trying to zen out. And I'll tell you what, it's pretty predictable. It's always the kind of people who the first word that comes out of their mouth is always something about themselves. Not like, hi, how you doing? Happy New Year. It's always oh, when I was your age, or 20 years ago, or whatever, I was a fast critter. I ran blah, blah, blah for the 10K or something. Always trying to, announce their worth. I don't even know you, dude. I don't care. I don't care. Hey, let me tell you about this one particular old guy who's a local. I never noticed him at races or anything, but I've seen him a few times. Most recently, a week ago, I was running just a recovery jog, and the guy literally came out of the bushes. I guess maybe he was taking a piss. Came out of the bushes, startled me. Then I just kept going with my run, very unassumingly, and he just sprinted out and caught me just to talk about his PRs and some other random nonsense running related that I did not care about whatsoever. Nor did I have any input to contribute. I just was yeah, okay. When are you gonna turn off to the next path? I want to run on my own here, And I don't think he remembered me, because he would have said hey, how's it going? Nice to see you again, or something. Even though it wouldn't be a pleasant experience, but I remembered him. Okay, first time I met him, 2 years ago, I was doing a track workout, and I don't even know his name. But you know what? Of course I wouldn't know his name. This guy just comes up to you out of the bushes and just starts talking. He doesn't introduce himself, nothing. I remember I was running a track workout, and I was doing a warm-up around the track, and he started running next to me again in the same very, just abrupt fashion. I remember him asking me a question about the UC Santa Barbara running team, because they're the local university just down the road from my house, where I run all the time. And I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't know the answer to the question. I was I don't know, I don't run on the team. And he's like, oh, I know. And I was like, what do you mean you know? He just said it with a kind of a very oh yeah, of course you don't. What do you mean you know? You know because you know everyone on the roster? Or you know because I look like I'm slow and I couldn't run in college? What do you mean you know? You know because I had compression socks on and I looked a little bit wacky with my running attire, because I don't really care about how I look like you do with your, professional looking gear, because I'm more about being fast than looking fast. I don't know. Anyway, he just rubbed me the wrong way. So I just like, okay. So today, I was on a run with a friend, and we were just, you know, chatting, doing our own thing. This old cyclist comes up to us, okay? And he's like usual cyclists, like decked out in all the fancy, you know, riding kits and whatnot. He was with a couple other people riding in a group. And they pass us. He says a comment, whatever. Something about like, you know, how, you know, oh, what pace you guys running, like that kind of thing. Then he, after he passed us, he slows down, lets the group go, just to talk with us. So I figured, like, okay, here we go. I'm, you know, slicking my hair back. Like, okay, what do you want to know about me? Like, what, you're gonna ask me about my racing? Or I figured he was like gonna kiss my ass or something. First thing that literally comes out of his mouth is, oh, my wife did a 9:30 Ironman. Okay. Am I wearing an Ironman shirt? No. Do I do triathlons that you would know of? No. Do I know you? No. I mean, like, why is that something that you feel the need to share right away? Anyway, I was impressed. Initially. Then I find out that come to find out a few minutes later after talking, that it happened in 1993, 26 years ago. That's kind of odd to bring up to some stranger on a run, like right away. Like, hey, my wife did something 26 years ago. You need to know about it. Why? And what's worse, okay? Bragging about something you did 26 years ago, or bragging about something someone else did 26 years ago? I know you're inclined to say the latter, but because, I mean, bragging about yourself come across as arrogant, and nowadays, you know, it's cool to be humble. So everyone tries to strive to be humble. I can honestly say I'm not humble, but I recognize situations where being competitive and engaging in that banter is inappropriate. So I just know not to share. It's like not lying about something, just omitting it, not talking about it at all. So no one knows if you're arrogant or humble because you don't really talk about it. So I just kind of avoid it, you know, avoid those situations when I know that it's not appropriate, right? But so you either come across as arrogant talking about yourself, or you brag about something someone else did, which is kind of weird because one, it was so long ago. Two, I don't know you or your wife. And three, if that's is that like the highlight of the last 20 years is something she did? Like, what have you done? I don't know. It just was weird. It's weird. Maybe I'm off base here. Maybe everyone else thinks, no, it's fine to talk about other people's accomplishments. And it's way better than, you know, tooting your own horn. But I don't know. I just thought it was odd. And then you talk about how good his daughter is, and she's a natural. And like, why? Why do I care? I mean, look, I train alone a lot. Less so than I used to, but still over half my training is alone. And when you train alone a lot, sometimes you fondly consider the possibility of being more social. Like, oh, maybe I should run with other people to make 70 miles a week or whatever seem less monotonous. Or on certain days I'm not motivated, I'll just run with people, chat, catch up, you know, zone out, make it more enjoyable. Or, you know, I'll be more social before and after races so I can make more friends with like-minded individuals. And that's all fine and dandy, but engaging in small talk with strangers while on a run, no, never ends well for me. No, thank you. I will just do my own thing and ignore you, please. So I hope that when I'm 50, 60, you know, 70 years old, I hope that I'm not like this, like the people I just described, because it's a common theme and it's something that no one's talking about, but I think it's very important. You know, runners talk about chafing, runners talk about shin splints, they talk about the high cost of race entry fees, but no one talks about the cocky old guys that like to, you know, brag about their past accomplishments. And I think it should be said. And how do I know that those guys are even telling the truth? I mean, back in the days when they raced, there was no internet. There's no online database of their results. There's no athlinks. There's no Strava. Like, there's no record of anything. They could just make up whatever they want. Not that I care anyway. I mean, the more you run, and the more you compete, and the more you just challenge yourself, the more you find out about yourself and what you're capable of, and the less you consider yourself with comparing to other people. I mean, we still do it, of course, for validation, but I feel like over time we care less and less about it. Maybe that's just the way that I'm trying to transform my mindset. Clearly, some of these old guys have never let it go, but I don't know. If you're gonna brag, like, brag about something you've done recently, or wait until I bring up Ironmans or bring up something that is related to your brag. But just to come out with a brag as your opening line to a stranger, it's weak sauce.